What it do? You on the couch with SeanQ. You know I like to switch it up sometimes, man. So this time I got an author in the house, man. She wrote this book, Cracked But Not Broken. Make sure you go check that out. We got Regina Duvall in the house, y'all. What's going on, Regina?
Hey.
How you think it's okay if I call you Regina or Miss
It
Duvall?
is.
I don't want
No, you good. You good.
Okay, Regina. So let's get into your story. I mean, I understand you started out in the church.
I did.
Stayed in the church. I don't want to say started out in the church. You stayed in the church through everything.
Yes. I was born and bred Kojic baby. A PK kid, pastor's kid.
Okay. Yeah, them pastor kids, huh?
Yeah. Don't do
I
us.
mean, I'm not trying to do it, but hey, your story, it kind of feeds into the stereotype.
Yeah, it does, but being a pastor's kid, I don't really think that it played a real role in what happened after the fact.
I mean, let's say this. If you listen to the reason why they say pastor kids are so bad, it's because they say they're sheltered. So when they get out into the world, they either can't process it and they just run wild.
That's not true in our instances, because I don't think that I was sheltered.
Okay. So you feel like you saw enough and you weren't sheltered?
Yeah, remember that I'm the youngest of 6 siblings, and all of my siblings was not saved. But I mean, we all went to church, but when they got up some age, I mean,
not to do a sibling war or anything, but you say they weren't saved. So how do you feel like their path and your path measured up?
Probably because I was the youngest. So things that they saw and done, I didn't. As far as church-wise, even the home life with my parents and the division of my parents, because my father was not saved. He was nowhere near the church,
Okay.
So there was always that separation there anyway.
Okay, so it was in the house already, so it really didn't.
Okay. Exactly.
I understand that. Okay, so growing up in the church, let's jump forward to college.
So when I graduated from high school, I went to Bishop College.
And where is that?
In Dallas, Texas.
So where did you grow up, first of all?
Springfield, Massachusetts, by way of New Jersey.
So you went all the way to Texas for college?
I went all the way to Texas.
Wow. All right.
I went to, my major was mass communications. And I went all the way to Dallas. And I was so lonely. I think I was more afraid than anything. Not afraid in the sense of being afraid, but just out of my comfort zone.
Alright, so we land in Texas. You're at your element and everything. And so let's talk about this cool. You get to Texas, you still on your how you were when you were home?
Yeah.
How you were when you were home? And you smoke a cool cigarette.
Well, I just didn't up and smoke a cool cigarette. My roommate smoked cool 100s. I would never forget. And we was going to the chow hall. And she was sitting in the back of where the shortcut, smoking a cool cigarette. And she said, girl, it'll just calm you down. Just take you a pull at that. I took a pull of that cool cigarette. And I about killed myself. I choked to death. And if you ain't never smoked nothing, you gonna get a rush.
I tried a cigarette one time.
Yeah. Did you get a rush from the cigarette?
I head rush. Man, no. I don't see how y'all do it.
That ended up being a long relationship with cigarettes. Because I ended up smoking cool cigarettes.
Cool cigarette.
I came home from Texas a new creature. No.
Oh, you didn't graduate?
I did not
So
graduate.
when did you get your degree?
I came home and I went to Springfield Technical Community College.
Okay.
And I got my certifications.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I also became the 12 new newscaster for WTC. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's when I kind of knew where my element was at, and I loved electronics. It just really fascinated me. And so I think that's why I really got my certification in that.
And what's the title of it? You said it was a mouthful when you said it.
Well, the certification was electronic assembly with certification in test technician.
One more time. One more time. Electronic assembly.
With certification in test technician. And I went on to get the certification in quality control.
Okay. Marijuana. We have different views on the marijuana subject. Because you feel it's a gateway. I don't. So when was marijuana introduced to your life?
I had really literally been around marijuana probably all through high school.
When did you try it? You didn't smoke nothing?
No. No. When I came back from Texas, I lived in, they was called Duncan Apartments. And back then, you know, joint was 50 cents. We talking 77.
Taking it back to 77. 50 cents?
They was 50 cents. So,
77 blunts 50 cents.
well, they stayed 50 cents, you know, up until, you know, around 80 maybe, 82.
I remember you said you were selling weed. But let's get to the chefing though. I want to talk, because you said you were a master chef.
I was considered a master chef.
That means your wrist game proper.
Listen, people brought me their product, and I mean not little bit. Keys
So you was
and
blending,
ounces.
or you still whipping?
I was doing it all. I was cutting it, you know, I was cutting it, I was cooking it, I was bagging it, I was selling it, and I was smoking it.
So which came, were you selling it before you were smoking, or smoking before you were selling it?
Actually, we were selling before, because remember that crack wasn't crack at first. It was called freebasing. Crack didn't have a name when I first started smoking. It wasn't even called crack. What we learned is that freebasing was called freebasing because you always got the first one free.
Pay for it every time after that.
Exactly. You was just getting powder, because I actually started tooting. I had a tooting Jones first. And all of my drug addiction, all of those things that I progressed to, again I say, came from a place of hurt. Came from a place of trying to ease the pain that I had within me.
And that was because of your son.
Yeah, you know, and I didn't know how to channel it, you know, so I found my relief in drugs.
I say it started with a cool cigarette, but it wasn't that you smoked the cool and you started smoking marijuana and then you started tooting. It was just a way of dealing with your problem.
Exactly. How I started smoking was just simply being nosy. I was being nosy. We were in an apartment, me and my friend, and you could look down the hallway, and it was a long hallway, and I seen the people down that hallway with a soda bottle that had water in it, and they had a straw or whatever in it, and they was pulling on it, and you see the bottle full up with smoke, and I'm like, what are they doing down there? What is that? And but you know, the thing about that is that during that time, my baby was in, when I started smoking crack, my baby was in Boston Children's Hospital. And that's how I ended up in Boston.
Okay.
And that's when I began to smoke crack. I started smoking crack there. So
like that first high, did it like shoot you over the roof, or like the stories I hear is just crazy about the first high?
Tell you about the crack. When you take a hit of crack, if you don't, it just makes your brain want more. It does. It just hits your brain like your brain just says more. And it's called chasing a ghost.
I've heard that.
You chasing a ghost. Because you're going to never get where you're trying to get. But you think that you are.
Yeah, so basically, you smoke crack one time and don't do it no more. No, I'm joking. Don't smoke crack. I was just playing. Don't smoke crack. That's like the crack is whack. Don't do that.
If somebody asks you, do you want to hit?
Run.
Run. You know, and I stood in my door in the building, and I watched the apartment directly across the hall from me getting raided.
While you were...
I was across the hall steady selling dope. And they was raiding the girl across the hall from me.
She ain't snitched, did she?
She went to jail.
Shout out.
The guy that was in there selling dope went to jail. And I was...
Just watching. So how long you was moving after that?
How long was I there?
Yeah, still, yeah.
Oh, years. And you know,
Oh, so you just fearless.
yeah, I did that for many years, and I say now, I be like, you know, what was once a home for my children, I turned it into a dope house. You know, it became a dope house, but I didn't keep my children in there because of the risk.
Where did your kids go at that point?
My mother.
And how many kids did you have at this point?
I have five children. And when it got really bad, my son died at age 10.
Yeah, 10, yeah.
So I had 4 living children. And my mother always had my children when I turned it to a dope house. I willfully took my children to my mother. I didn't sleep where I sold dope. I would be there all day, half of the night, about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I get a cab or whatever, and I go to my mom's house where my children was at. Because the rule was, you never knew.
Don't tell me. Tell them the rule.
Oh.
No, pick that one. That's your close up. Tell them the rule. Please go ahead.
See, the rule is, you never lay your head where you sell your dope and where you do your dope. Keep your children safe. If that's the life that you want to live, which is a dead-end street that leads to nowhere, keep your children safe. Keep your family safe.
Straight like that. Alright, so like you said, you had your 4 kids, but your last one, she had a very interesting birth. Because you were smoking crack was it during the pregnancy or before the pregnancy?
I did. I smoked crack with my daughter the entire 9 months that I was pregnant with her. And my mother would come. She would never get out the car, but she would always come to the dope house. And she would come in the back of the building, and I would go out there. And my mother always prayed for my fetus. She would pray for my baby. So when I got ready to have Carrie, and you know, of course, going to the doctor, you know, they knew I was tested positive for cocaine. They said that she would be mentally delayed, and she would have some physical issues upon her birth, and they said that her organs probably had not developed because of me smoking crack. So my mother told them in the room, because my mother and my stepdad came to the hospital. And my mother said, she said, you know, I don't care if this baby has one eye and a piece of a nose. That's still my baby's baby. And her name will be Carrie. And that's my mother's name. And they just all was just kind of looking at her. And as I was laying there in labor, I could quietly hear my mother just praying. She was just praying. I could hear her. And I could hear her just saying, Jesus, oh Jesus. And that's how my mother was in that room. So when I had my baby, My afterbirth was milk white. Let's start there. And my baby was born drug-free.
But everything was in the afterbirth.
Listen, everything had went into my afterbirth.
Wow.
And my baby not only was born, just so when I talk about the grace and mercy of God, when he was doing for me what I couldn't do for my own self, and when I looked at my baby who had all 10 fingers, 10 toes, and she was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with her. Absolutely nothing.
That's a blessing.
And that's my miracle baby. And I talk about, so when I look and I think and when I talk to people and I say about faith and belief, that gave me a whole new look at how God really is and who he really is. Because that baby should have not been born drug-free. That baby should have had every sickness or whatever that there was.
So would you say that's the reason when did you start writing the book? What inspired you to write it?
What really inspired me to write this book, Cracks But Not Broken, is because I wanted to let people know that there was hope. I wrote this book in the mind of a mother who has a son or daughter that's out there on drugs. A sister or brother who has a sibling that's out there on drugs.
So your book basically is you want to help. You want to help somebody
Exactly.
else to either get through it or prevent them from going through it.
Exactly. And that's the reason that I wrote that book. To give someone hope. To get them through, if they're out there, to get them through it. If I can get through it, and I didn't get through it on my own.
How long were you actually addicted to crack?
17 years. I had a 17-year crack addiction.
So 17 years, and were you, were you functioning? Were you still working and everything? Or?
I was a full functioning crack addict. I worked. I went to school. I maintained my own apartment. Never been homeless. Never been without lights, phone, and cable.
So I don't want to make light of the situation, but back when we was moving, we used to love people like you. Y'all used to come through with them big checks. Y'all used to spend money. But anyway.
Listen, for so long, I wanted to stop getting high. But I just didn't know how. So I'm going to tell you how.
That was my next question. How did you eventually?
I'm going to tell you how I did not quit. God delivered me. They had a picture by the window with a woman in a police uniform. And it said, you can be a correctional officer. So I said to the lady, I said, I want to do that. How you apply? So they went to sniggling them on this, and I was like, she'll never pass them tests. Because you had to take 6 exams just to get into the Bright Futures program. So the date came, which was that Friday, so it was myself and 11 other women. Nobody passed them but me. I was the only one that got into the first phase of this Bright Futures. You had to score at least a 90. I scored a 98 on all 9 of the exams. A couple of them I got 100.
Good.
So I was like, so all the people in the DSS office was like, oh, she must be smart. She the only one was passing those. So lo and behold, I got into the Bright Futures program. So I was going home, and I went through Greenwood Gardens, and I bought me a bag of dope, and I bought me a beer, and I had a big cup that I always poured it in. I went home, and let me tell you, God got a sense of humor. He really does. I go home, and I said, well, I set my little thing up and everything. Nobody was home. And I go in the bathroom, and when I come out the bathroom, and I get ready to go in my room to get high, it was like real smoky, like, and I was like, dang, I know I didn't leave no cigarette burning. Yeah. Is what I was saying to myself. But the other side of my room was like real bright, like a light was shining or something. And now I understand that it was the voice of God. He said, this is your day of deliverance.
I thought you were about to say a fire had to broke out.
No. And he said, this is your day of deliverance. Reach out and take it. I poured the dope in the toilet. I poured the beer out. I never looked back. And I just told God yes. I told him I was sorry, and I was just telling God yes. And, long story short, I became a correctional officer. Okay. I became South Carolina Department of Corrections success story. I became Department of Social Service success story. I traveled through the state sharing my story. Mm-hmm. Before I ever wrote a book, I shared my story of God's grace and mercy.
So that what led you to write the book?
That's what led me to write that book. Because I would go to the DSS office. And when I would be in there in these classes talking to these women that I know are where I used to be, it gave me that feeling of, I know that they need to hear what I'm trying to say. And then God allowed me later, when the time was right, to put it in this book and tell people.
Okay, so the book, where can they get it, first of all?
You can get my book. My website is www.reginaduvallspeaks.com. You can go to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. In all bookstores. If it's not in stock, they will order it. Once again, my website is www.reginaduvallspeaks.com. You can also go to YouTube, iTunes, CD Baby, and my CD is called Hide Me in Your Word. And my favorite song is Smiled.
Alright, man. So, is there anything else you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
There is. I would just like to tell people that there is hope. There is hope. There is deliverance through the word. And just find your hope. If you have a family member, somebody you love, a sibling, your parents, don't give up on them. Just don't give up on them. Don't hate the person. Hate the drug, not the person. Just love them, and love them out of their predicament that they're in.
All right. So y'all heard it here first. Y'all already know what to do. We on the couch with SeanQ. Just something a little different from y'all. Wake y'all up and understand there's always something better. You can always get out your situation, whatever it is. Found a better way. She found God that got her out of her situation.
Yes.
Whatever works for you, but it's not the end all. Like I said, you're on the couch with SeanQ, Regina Duvall. Make sure you go pick up that crack but not broken. I'm going to check out the music. We're going to see what you're working with, because I dabble in the music myself. And that's what it is. We out.